Yeah, so what we're going to be doing is the patio and the raised beds today. Excuse the snutching yet again. I can't believe how much of the rubble I've needed to shift out of there. There's even more there, look. I bet there's about 200 or 300 kilograms worth there. There's probably about 150 kilograms worth there in those bags. All of this in here. Decided I'm going to save myself a trip down to 1 or 2 trips to the tip by half filling this up with the rubble. It'll give the roots something to get through and add a bit of drainage in, and it'll save me on compost as well. Doesn't really, the flower beds, they don't really need tons and tons of soil in them. It'll just get compacted and stuff because there'll be no digging going on. And all those bricks down there, it's unbelievable, isn't it? All out of this area. It's sort of like 8 foot by 8 foot area. There must be a good ton of bricks that have come out. All these ones here that I'm saving, I'm going to do a little wall with those, a little raised bed with those somewhere, and those over there, the little mates, have all come out of here. As have these, as have the ones on the lane, and the bags that are through there. Ridiculous, isn't it? Probably been better off leaving them in and going over the top of them, but once you pop, you can't stop. So I'm going to be moving these. To save myself a job, as I say, I'm going to be backfilling into this raised bed and the other raised beds that I'm putting on with a lot of this brick. It'll save me back and it'll save me fuel and mither taking them to and from. So I'll get rid of the majority of this, I'm hoping, into the raised beds. Like a hugel culture. Hugel culture. I've looked that up, boys and girls. But hugel culture is done with logs and sticks and things like that, where you fill the base of the beds up with those. But this is obviously a mason's hugel culture. But it allows, like a rockery would, the roots to all intermingle with this and get a firm purchase for the plants. I'm going to put perennial flowering plants in here. Don't know what I'm going to use yet, but we'll have a think about that later down the line. Once the patio's in, have a trip down to Pole Green next week and see what they've got. Have a couple of discussions with the other guys on the plots. Okie dokie, see you shortly. So we've got it roughly etched out as to where it's going to go. So a little raised bed's going to go there, a little raised bed's going to go there, and it's going to be 230 or 2,300 if you want in the mills. So 2.3 metres from the base of the Tikki hut to where the last of the flags are going to sit. It's going to be about there in that little bit of a depressed corner that we've got there. Cleared a bit there, obviously about an inch lower than the flag that it meets. And then on this side it's going to be the same again. So they're only going to be about a foot wide, these raised beds. Maybe 14 inches, something like that. I'll sort that out later on. But we've got to make sure that the 450 by 450 flags are seated nicely in here, and that should be 5 that way. So it's, if you work out 45 times 5, well, 45 times 4 is 180, and then you add the 45 extra onto that, gives you 225. So I give 230 to there to account for the little bits of gapping. And then this way we've got about 183, 184 going that way, and that way I'm going to avoid, hopefully, having to cut the flags, because we've nothing to cut them with. We've no big grinder or a stillier out like that we can cut them with. So we're going to have to make it 5 by 4, which is only 20 flags, and then maybe 2 to go into that area there where it joins up to the extension. So we can still use those flags to maybe higher that a little. Continue on that. We'll need about another 4 for that. So we'll say 6. So that's going to take up 26 flags, 27, 28. Got 36 flags, I think. So we've more than enough. I didn't really need to buy the other ones, looking at it. But we'll find a use for them. We'll definitely find a use for them. I might even make another little raised bed out of them, lie them on their edge, bury them in. Yeah. Now I've filled up that halfway-ish, and then it's going to be filled up with the soil that we've got. The same with the other beds that are going to go in. So that's going to be the next thing you're going to see probably, is the rest of this brick being moved about. Then I'll have to completely level this off properly, taking it down about 3 inches. So it wants to be 3 inches from that. There's a board I'm going to cut here, which is going to form a little boundary running down there, a little retaining wall that's going to stand proud, only about 1 inch or so off these stones. So that's going to be deep. That's going to be knocked down about 4 inches into the soil, with about 2 inches standing proud, just to retain the stone from the brick. And that should be the next phase. So yeah, I put the little border in, the little retaining wall border in, and I've had to adjust it so that it's actually level with the Tikki hut. I know it's coming in a couple of inches there, but that's fine, that's okay, because we measured this distance as well, and that should be fine. And fill that back up, backfill all this trench, which I've started to do with the bricks. I've roughly levelled all of this area off. I say roughly because it's going to get the sand on it, and it's all going to be tamped down and levelled off as best as we can. And then as we're laying the flags, we'll have to adjust and move about and play with them as we're doing that. But yeah, so it should be 5 flags that way and 4 flags that way. There's going to be a bit of a gap of about 3 or 4 inches or so, give or take, between that and the flags, where the gravel's going to go. The flags should come up to a couple of inches away from there, and again gravel's going to be brushed into there, just to fill any gaps that we've got. And that should be us, hopefully. Alright. Yep. About halfway through the sanding. Yep. So there's 8 bags of sand in there, and it's all been tampered down. Not completely flat. You need to roller that to get that completely flat. And Mick's not come back as yet. So if he does come back, we'll get it rolled. If not, I'll just lay them as I lay them, and I'll pack up some sand underneath them as they need it, and try and keep them as flat and level as I possibly can as we're going on through the job. As I say, it's probably going to take 20. We've estimated at 20 flags, 5x4, and they should fit in fairly nicely with a little gap around the sides, but only a small gap around the sides. That'll be backfilled with grit. Alright, there's going to be a part 2 to this, because I've got to give Mick a ring, and I can't give Mick a ring whilst using my phone as a camera. So there'll be a part 2 to this. So they'll probably be both about 9 minutes long, making up an 18-minute how-to. Okay, so we'll catch you later.